Well, welcome back to the Isn't That Rich podcast. We're your host, Jill Franks.
And I'm Ashley McVicker, and this episode is premiering the week of Valentine's Day. So, happy Valentine's Day, Jill.
Happy Valentine's Day, Ashley. And I love Valentine's Day. I know it's not a lot of people's favorite, but I love it.
What was your favorite thing to do as a kid?
Well,
you remember being in class and
and you'd get you decorate your own little shoebox, and you'd get your Superman or princess Valentine's card themes. You get to give one to everybody. What was your favorite, Ashley?
That was my favorite thing to do too. Just walk around the room, write my name on all those little candies, and pass them out, and then you buy your crush or something. But speaking of crush, speaking of love, speaking of Valentine's Day, Jill, what happens a lot on Valentine's Day?
Well, so Valentine's Day still remains like the number one day for people to get engaged. And before you go and join your life to somebody else, there are a lot of things you need to think when it comes to your finances. Like, what do you do with your bank account? And so today, we're going to talk all about that.
Mm-hmm. And thankfully, we have a very special guest, one of our favorite coworkers, Miss Taylor Shanks. How are you, Taylor?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good.
Great.
I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. She is our new accounts expert, and we talk to her about everything all the time. I feel like anytime I have a question, we just pick up the phone and call her. So she's been with the bank for 5 years, right?
Yep, 5 years.
And she has a wealth of knowledge. So welcome, Taylor.
Thank you.
Super excited to have you, Taylor.
Thank you. I'm flattered to be here. I got my position in new accounts in 2020 after someone retired that had been there 26 years. So talk about big shoes to fill. Super exciting though. Every day it's different, and I think I've really found my passion for customer service and just like a really good customer experience, opening new accounts that has, oh my gosh, different things every single day. You don't see the same thing. Right. So just making a customer experience the best, and our culture and all that fun stuff, it all ties in together. So
yeah, absolutely. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about getting married and all the things that you have to do in order to change your bank account.
And the first thing you have to do to change your bank account, or join with your spouse, or do 5 million other things in society, is change your name.
Yeah. So if you're a woman and you're getting married and you decide to change your name, there are a lot of things that you don't realize you have to do.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So before you even get married,
that's when the process starts.
Right.
Be prepared. So you're getting married when you come to the bank, and before you come, you need to have your new driver's license with your new last name on it. Let me tell you guys, the paper copy is just fine. Some people are like, is this valid? It is valid, so bring it. That will work. Your marriage certificate, we will just make a copy of it at the bank. We don't need the official one. I know you want to frame that and keep it nice. Yeah, those two things are the only things you need to bring us in order to change your name.
And I realized when I got married a few years ago that in order to even change my name, there are so many steps to do. So the first thing I realized that I needed to do was get several copies of my marriage certificate.
Mm-hmm.
When you're getting married, you don't realize how many copies of that baby you need. Because everywhere you go to change your name, they either keep it or they give it back to you, but a lot of them keep it, and you never see that copy again.
Yeah. I think, I haven't been married, you would know, but I think the longest thing is the Social Security card. At the bank, we don't need the official copy, but you still have to go change it with them. Yeah. So I think that's what probably takes the longest.
Right. And every step that we're going to talk about today takes some time. Mm-hmm. So so this is one thing I realized too, is so we had a wedding in Florida, and we got married somewhere, it was a destination wedding. Your marriage certificate, you need to go to the courthouse in the county you're getting married in, and that's where you get all of that information. You have your marriage certificate signed there and sealed and all that good stuff. And then after you have that marriage certificate, then you can, the first place we went after that was the Social Security office. And that's what you just mentioned, that takes the longest amount of time.
Yeah.
But it was probably the easiest part of the process, was going to the Social Security office. There's one in Harrisburg. And I know if you go to the Social Security website, they actually have a list of locations. You can also do this by mail too. So that was that was interesting.
So I want to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to go right from the beginning because I'm not married and you're going to walk me through this.
Yeah.
So first you have to get your marriage license though. And then your marriage license turns into your marriage certificate, correct? After you get married, you get the signatures from
Oh gosh, yeah.
the minister, your witnesses, all that. What do you have to bring to the courthouse when you get your marriage license before the wedding?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So you show up a few days. You can't even do it. Like you have to do it in a certain amount of time before the wedding. So if you are at a destination wedding, you have to make sure it's in the right timeline, right? So you have to have several days before, like I think it was 4 or 5 days before your actual wedding, we had to apply for a marriage license. So you go, you have to bring your driver's license. You have to swear that you are going to change your name, all this stuff. Then you have to have 2 witnesses and your officiant at the wedding, sign it at the actual wedding, and then as soon as possible, you have to file marriage license into a certified copy, and then it becomes a certificate. So your marriage certificate. Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of steps.
Around the big day.
Yeah.
As if a wedding isn't crazy enough.
And nothing's free, right? So everything,
no.
every step of this process costs money. So I think it's like $100 and some dollars, and then every copy of your marriage license costs something. So there's a process and there's fees to all of this.
This is why at the bank, I'm always like, we don't need the certified copy because some places will want the certified copy and they cost you money. So we will take a copy of that. And also, you know, we charge the $10 reprinting fee to print your debit card, but when you get married, Farmer State Bank's nice gift to you is a brand new debit card with your new married name on it for free.
That's awesome.
And here's a plug. We have new tap cards.
Hey,
so you can just go up to a machine and tap it. You don't have to put it in
yes.
anymore.
And because you're so excited that you have a new last name, we print you a card right there in the branch.
Wow.
You get to
That's
leave
awesome.
with that new married name.
Yeah, so you need a certified copy of your marriage certificate, proof of citizenship. So, like, you have to bring your passport there. It doesn't have to be, like, your new last name on your passport because there's a process for this thing. So you need your Social Security card to be updated first before you can apply for your passport, your new one.
Or you can have a certified copy of your birth certificate if you don't have a passport to prove citizenship.
Right. And then a valid photo ID, so a driver's license, passport, or state-issued ID. Your current Social Security card, you have to bring that with you.
Can you imagine all these hoops you'd have to jump through if you lost your Social Security card?
I know it, right? And then it takes a couple weeks for that to come in, like Taylor mentioned. And then you can finally go get your new driver's license.
And you have to have your new driver's license, right, to open the bank account, correct? And we'll get to that in just a second. But it has to have your new name on it.
It does.
Okay. So, Jill, what do we need to update our driver's license to get a new driver's license?
So you go to the DMV, you have, again, your certified copy of your marriage certificate.
That's important. You've got to have 5 million of those.
Your new Social Security card, and your proof of address. So like a bill from your home, a bank statement, all that stuff, of proof of address. And you can print one off or get an official statement by going into your bank and asking for a printed copy. And of course, your payments.
Man.
Yeah. So by now you've
Those
racked up
dollar
like
dances probably are going to help a little bit. So I recommend having that.
Yeah. So you've racked up like probably close to $500 in fees already from just by changing your name. Yeah.
This is why we're forewarning people. Just go ahead and put that money to the side.
Yeah. Don't blow all your honeymoon or your money from the wedding on your honeymoon. You're going to need it to change your name. So now we've got our new driver's license, and like you mentioned before, do you need the hard copy? Like you wait in the mail. Do you actually need that hard copy of the driver's license? Or
no? So when you leave the driver's license facility, they give you all a paper copy now. So that's what I said. Bring the paper copy to the bank. We will use it. It's valid. Okay. I always just say when you get the hard copy, because it's colored, bring that in and let us like scan it into the system so we've got a colored copy of it.
Yeah. I think it's so important, and people don't realize, we talk about this all the time, but how important it is to have an updated ID, a photo ID on your bank account.
Yes.
It can prevent so much, right?
Yes, it really can, yeah.
And you wouldn't believe how many people have expired IDs. And every time people are going through the drive-thru, we're like, we have to have a new ID.
Yes.
Please come back to the bank. Give
and
us
some
your
people,
ID.
like, I never see them. So when I do see them, they're in my office. I'm like, can I get a color copy of your photo ID? Because I won't see you for 6 months. So
right.
Or a year. You know, I only see people so often.
Right, but a lot of times it prevents fraud. So
Yes.
it's so important to keep that updated.
100%.
And so please have patience with us when we ask for a copy of your ID and you have to walk back out to your car. Just like bear with it.
It's for your protection. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our new driver's license. We've got our marriage certificate. We're in big love. We're coming to the bank, Taylor.
You're going to make it official.
We're going to make it official. So what's the first thing that happens when you walk into the bank? What are you going to sit down and say to these people?
Well, first we're going to offer you a Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite, and water. Get
Got
you
it.
nice and comfortable. No. So we're going to talk about what kind of accounts we offer. We're going to find what's going to best fit you. There are different options for different things, though. So you can have a joint account with your spouse. You can still have your single owner account if you want. Are we on to that?
Yeah, we can talk about that because I feel like not all women want to change their name. So if you're not, or maybe they just want to keep their own account. Like they already have an account with the bank and they just want to update their last name. What does that process look like? Like, so we're not going to do a joint account. We just want to change our name. So like, what do I need?
Okay. Just to change the name, we'll take the driver's license and your marriage certificate. And then on your customer profile, we will just go in and change your name. Simple as that.
It's
just
easy
a name
as that.
change. Yep.
So that has nothing to do with getting your bank account together? That's just...
No, that's just to change
get a
your
new-
personal profile.
Okay.
Yep. Anytime we do a name change, though, we do new signature cards. So
what does that mean? What is a signature card?
So a signature card is like your binding agreement for your account. That just means if anything happens to you, you go to make changes on your account, anything like that, we are signing a new document, and we always put a note in there of why we're signing it. So in this situation, I would say name change due to marriage. So that way we can go back and always know why we had you sign a new signature card.
Okay.
But this is like if anything were to ever happen to you, we would go pull this up and see who all's listed on the account, who can have information, stuff like that.
Got it. So any kind of change, you need a new signature card. So do you have to be in person for a new signature card?
Well, we have a new e-sign, e-document, technology-wise, 2023. If we have like a built relationship with you, I know you personally, all of that good stuff, and you get me that driver's license and marriage certificate, we can e-sign a document out to you.
Okay.
Just by your email, and you can sign it that way and get it back.
Got it. So not necessarily have to be in person, but yeah.
Yep, just as long as you bring those documents, because we cannot do any changes until we get those two things.
Got it.
Yep.
We mentioned joint checking a little bit ago, and I want to talk a little bit about that because there's probably a lot more changes that need to happen if you're adding someone to account and what that...
Or starting a new account.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's options. Starting a new account would be great. You're going to be joint owners. You're going to go into this agreement together. There's going to be a primary owner and a secondary owner. Just because you're secondary doesn't mean you have any less rights than the primary person, okay? So primary and secondary have the same exact powers. It's just under one person's social security number. The important thing is, when you're doing a joint account, though, you're going into a binding agreement with that person. So if anything were to happen, it only takes one person to close out an account.
Okay.
So being joint owners, yeah, I could come to the bank and close our account out without ever discussing that with the other party. So
I feel like that's...
let's slow down and talk about that because that means that somebody can say I'm married and then we just go crazy and decide I want to split up. I can go through the bank and I can take out all the money because I am an authorized, or you're an owner of the account.
Okay, so whether you're primary or secondary, you're both treated as owners of the account.
yes,
Okay.
And owners can do anything.
anything goes.
Okay. And it doesn't matter what the other person says, correct? That's what you're saying.
It only takes one person.
Do you have any stories where someone's...
Yeah.
You do?
So, yeah. And this is just a scenario, and we've seen this multiple times. But, we have several different locations. So, husband could be at our Marion East location and decide that he wants to just pull all the money out of the account. That's perfectly fine. We can let him do that. Well, then wife is on her lunch break in Harrisburg, and she comes to the drive-thru to get money out because she needs to go pay a bill, and there's no money in there because her husband just wiped it out.
And so totally shocked, totally surprised, but that's totally within their rights to do because they're an owner on that account.
Yes.
So that's really something to consider. Like, I mean, when you're getting married, you better be prepared to share it all, right?
Let's also
For better
talk
or for worse.
really quickly about something else that can happen.
Okay.
I've seen this scenario too. Husband and wife still have a joint account together.
They're both owners.
Both owners.
Okay.
Yep. Wife comes in and opens a separate account on her own. Totally can do that. Single owner account. She's got that taken care of. Husband's direct deposit comes into that joint account and she slides on her online banking and just
Swipes it.
Transfers money out.
Transfers it all over to her single owner account.
Now, when something like that happens, and so I'm the husband, I'm on the account, and I can see my wife is transferring this amount of money. Can you tell me where that money is going? Like,
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, no, because
I'm not on that other account.
correct. Yeah, that other account is your wife's account and it's single owner, and I cannot tell you any information on there.
So
Nothing.
you can't tell him what happened to his account.
No.
You're kidding me.
No, it went to a single owner account. I can't. I
Wow.
mean, I can't disclose another customer's confidential information to him.
Can you say it went to a single owner account and that be done?
No, I wouldn't even say
That's
that.
walking the line.
Yeah. Because
Wow.
then he's like, "Who's the owner on that account? What's the single owner?" I wouldn't even say that.
Yeah.
So in that
I would probably
situation,
get that situation, like come inside the bank and maybe let's have an in-person discussion about this. Call your joint owner on your account and let's all get together and talk about how to fix this and what we
Okay.
need to do.
Because it is a behavior that's taking place with another owner. Got it. Oh, so crazy.
That's a sticky situation there.
So
wow.
that's a lot to think about when you're getting married. Like
Yeah.
trusting somebody enough that no matter what happens.
For better or for worse, even
Right.
when they swipe all your money out of your bank
For
account.
sickness and in health.
Oh, man.
For richer or for poorer, honey.
Right. But there are benefits to having the joint account. So I don't always
yeah,
want to talk
yeah,
about
no.
the negative too, because I feel like there are so many more things that we can do with a joint account than without. So I know as a married person, you're able to bank together, to share finances together. And there's things that if you didn't have that joint account that you wouldn't be able to do. So what
Yes.
are some of those things or some of the benefits of having a joint account?
Yes. So a lot of times people will get refund checks. Southeastern Electric, they send out rebate checks every year, whatever. If that check is made out to you and your husband, it has to go into a joint account with both of your names on it. Insurance policy, say you like total your car out, insurance company gives you a check and they make it out to both of you because your name is on the title or something like that, has to go into an account with two people's names on it because legally that other person, both parties have to have access to those funds.
So they're entitled to
So
those
they are
funds.
entitled to those funds, yes. So one person can't jip out the other person of their money, you know?
Well, I mean, you're getting married and all of these checks are most likely made out to
Yes.
the two of you.
Yep.
So it's got to go into a joint account. That's interesting. What other benefits are there to,
I think
Or
just
what are-
transparency is a really big benefit. That's why people
Yeah.
that get married have a joint bank account for transparency to see where their money is going, right?
Tracking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paying bills.
yeah. And what are some restrictions? I know there's some people that, come through the drive through and they're not necessarily on an account, but want to make a deposit or want to make a withdrawal. And like, my husband asked me to go deposit this check, or my husband asked me to remove this amount of money from, like, what are some things that a bank is not allowed to do if a person's name is not on the account?
So anyone can come make a deposit for you.
Okay.
So anyone. You can be on the account, not be on the account. Anyone can make a deposit. It's the withdrawing that gets tricky. You do have to be the authorized signer or a owner on the account in order to get money out or to know any information. I mean, say you come and you want to do a deposit, that's fine. We can take it. But if you want the balance, we are not allowed to give you that balance.
Okay. Like something that comes to mind for me is like if we have a loan together, my husband and I own our house together and I'm making a loan payment on that house. Can I, and say this payment comes from his account and I can't, can I even say, hey, has that payment been made, or where did that payment come from? Or is there any weird thing like that?
Well,
or
if
is
you're
that
on the loan, I would go to the loan and pull it up and be like, yes, your payment's been taken care of for this month.
okay? Got it.
So I heard you say authorized signer
Yes.
way back when.
Yeah.
So you can be an owner of an account or the other option is to be an authorized signer.
Yep.
Tell us what an authorized signer is.
So an authorized signer is pretty much just like an owner. They have all the rights to do the things, make deposits, withdrawals. They can know your balance. They can act as an owner. At your death, if something happens to you and you pass away, the authorized signer falls off. Okay?
What does that mean?
An authorized signer, like it goes away. They no longer exist on the account.
And so that's different from a beneficiary.
So, now that you bring that up, anytime I do an authorized signer on an account like this, I always ask them, do you want to have a beneficiary on there? Because if they pass away, authorized signer falls off, you can now leave it to the beneficiary.
Okay.
So it kind of trails down.
So there are many different roles that people can play on a bank account, whether
Yes.
you're an owner, authorized signer, or beneficiary.
Yep. So back on the authorized signer, this is really good to know. You can add or remove them on your account at any time. So say me and my husband go to a binding agreement. We want to do a joint account, but I want to make him an authorized signer. Okay, he can still write checks. He can come to the bank and do deposits, withdrawals, all of that. But if at any point I decide I don't want him on that account anymore, I can go to the bank and remove him.
Instead of closing out your account.
Correct.
So that's kind of the benefit of doing that.
100% the benefit. Say you have this account, your direct deposit set up, you just ordered new checks, you don't want to close it out. So that's when the authorized signer is really nice. You can just remove them, have it single owner, and not have anyone else on there. Yeah.
That's such a great, and I think about like, you know, the situation with like a child, like having if you're opening up an account, and you shared this yesterday with me, like if you're opening up an account for somebody under the age of 18, you can be an authorized signer. Can you talk a little bit about that too? Like, what happens?
You told parents to do with their accounts.
Do what?
You said yesterday that if a parent is getting into a bank account with their child,
yes.
what you actually recommend doing.
Yes. So I have had definitely situations where mom comes in with her son, like an adult son, and says, I want him to be an authorized signer on my account, or I want him to be on my account. I start with saying, okay, you know, you can be a joint owner or you can be an authorized signer. And I tell them all the different things about, you know, the pros and cons of both. But with the authorized signer, you know, I tell them they can write checks for you, they can do all these things, but say you and your son get into a, you know, disagreement or whatever, you have got him on your account, you can now go to the bank and remove him at any time. And the thing about that is you can re-add him in a month if you want to do that.
Okay, so it's kind of like a safeguard.
Yeah.
But still, if they're an authorized signer, if they wanted to, they could come and take whatever they wanted out because they have the ability to withdraw.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And so if they were an owner, you would have to close the account.
Correct.
To get them off.
Yes. So that's why I'm saying a joint owner, you do have to remove, if you want to get someone off there, unfortunately, you have to close it out. So that means, you know, any direct deposits you have set up, automatic payments, things like that, you're going to have to reset those things up in a new account.
You may have said this earlier, but if you're wanting to close an account where you have a primary and secondary owner, do they both have to be present to close the account or just one?
Just one person has to be there.
Okay.
So it only takes one person to close an account.
Well, that just brings up something that's kind of scary. I think of like business owners, if there's partners in a business.
Same thing. It's the same thing, right?
And the same thing for business owners. So if I like, you know, you go into and you both listed as an owner on this bank account, and then you decide to go separate ways, and like things end very badly, very quickly. It's important to know that person, the other partner, could go and just close your account and take all the money and run.
Yeah, this is why it's important to trust your bank, and that's why we want to be your trusted advisor. And we want to help you in these situations. So it's like anything urgently or any sudden changes that come up in your life, I feel like the bank is the probably first place you should go.
Yeah.
Those are your finances, your safe place. You know, that's your future. So it is important, I feel like, to trust your banker and, you know, let us know about these situations, and we can definitely figure out a plan for you.
I think, too, to add on to that, just knowing what your accounts look like, who's on them, are you an owner, are you a authorized signer, are you a beneficiary, who are your beneficiaries? And I feel like that gets a lot of people in trouble or helps them, obviously. So let's talk about that. What is it what do you recommend for married people when they come in, they get this joint account together, or they have separate accounts? What does that conversation look like between you and a customer for beneficiaries?
So,
and why is a beneficiary important?
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't understand what a beneficiary is, why you should have one, why you should know who they are and have those written down in your financial inventory planner.
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, what is a beneficiary?
So a beneficiary is a payable on death. If you were to pass away, this is the person you name that can collect your funds at your death.
Okay. Because we all know how hard it is sometimes going through probate and all that stuff.
Yes.
And so that means that this does not go through court.
No.
Goes
It does not
directly-
fall into your estate. Doesn't go through probate. I mean, this is naming a beneficiary is the most cut and dry, easiest way to leave your money to who you truly want it to go to.
Okay.
It's not a fun conversation to have. And, I tell people every time we talk about beneficiaries and I'm opening accounts, I'm like, I don't like to have the conversation, but it's an important one to have because it's your money. And when you pass away, this is who you're leaving it to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just very important and to be educated on it. But I think the most important thing is that, yes, it doesn't fall into your will or your estate or anything like that. It's very cut and dry.
And so can you have multiple beneficiaries on an account?
Good question. You can. Yep. You can have.
Should you?
It's up to you.
Okay.
But say you have 3 kids and you want them all to have a portion of it. We will divide whatever dollar amount you have in your account. We're going to divide that by 3 and we will issue them all cashier's checks.
Okay.
You do have to come in with a certified copy of the death certificate and your photo ID, driver's license, some kind of photo ID to justify who you are.
All these certificates.
Okay. So I am still, okay. So say you have a joint account and you have somebody else and one of you passes and nothing changes until both of you pass, right? So nothing happens with 50. Yeah. There's
Half the money doesn't go
right,
out to
like you
his
just-
stepchild
yeah. You just
from 8 marriages
right.
ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Now, so joint account, one person passes away. The other owner is now the 100% owner.
Okay.
At that time would be a good time we're going to do a new signature card because we're going to remove that name. So
Okay.
you can, due to a death, you can take a name off of an account.
Okay.
So you have that exception. But this would be a good time to talk about, hey, this is going to be a single owner account now. Do you want to have an authorized signer on here, another joint owner, or change your beneficiaries or add someone at this time? When you're making a big change like that, a name change, a death, something like that, and we're signing a new signature card, it's a good time to talk about all the other things. Yeah.
Have you ever, I'm sure you've seen accounts that don't have beneficiaries. Or do you have any bad stories about, that? I'm sure you have because we deal with that all the time. Someone dies on a bank account. And
Yep. So if it stays, it's called dormant. If it lays dormant with no activity for 2 years, it gets turned over to the state of Illinois. So that's another point. When I go to tell people about beneficiaries, I'm like, if you have someone that you trust and, you want to be a beneficiary, let me know because if you pass away, this money is just going to go to the state of Illinois. And I don't think you want any more money. I mean, we pay them so much anyway.
yeah.
Right.
So you don't want any more to go. So yeah, that happens. That's an option. Also, if everything they own, all of their assets, everything like that are over $100,000, an estate will be formed. And then we will just make a cashier's check out to the estate of that person. Or also if it's under $100,000, we're getting very technical now, but you'll do a small estate affidavit. That's another discussion for another time. But
Yeah.
very technical.
Wow.
So there's lots.
Yes.
So
You're
how
getting
there
married people.
But it's so important to have that beneficiary. And I wouldn't have even known about it had I not sat down with someone like you who walked me through it. And I think a lot of times when we go to, open a bank account, you're in a hurry, you don't really care what you're getting or what the process is setting. You just want to have a place to deposit your money and a place to withdraw it. And so, man, it's so important to have those things.
I called my family, not too long ago, a couple months ago, and I'm like, I do this every single day in my job, so I just need to make sure that you all are educated on this and you have your things set up.
Yeah.
I'm like, my own family need to make sure they know. They did.
Yeah.
So.
Back to the beneficiary thing, I think so many people have the misconception that your stuff is just taken care of and everything belongs to you or is owed to your family. It's just not like that unless you have these parameters set in place for that to happen.
And also about a beneficiary, one more thing is just because they are a beneficiary, they cannot know your balance on your account. They cannot know any personal information. And I stress that whenever we talk about beneficiaries and I'm, opening an account with them on there. They cannot call and find out what their balance is. The only time this beneficiary comes into play is if you pass away and they bring us that certified copy of your death certificate and their photo ID.
Okay, tell me this. Yeah. What if somebody doesn't know? What if I'm a beneficiary on my mom's account and I don't know that I am? She passes away. Do you contact me?
No, we don't.
What am I going to be doing? Calling around at the bank saying, am I a beneficiary?
Or how do you even know the bank account exists?
Right.
No, I have seen it where people have been on just a wild goose chase going around to all these local banks like, did my grandma or my mom, dad have anything here?
And can they say, though, yes? Because
I will go look at the signature card. I'll try to help them as best as I can.
Okay.
But we have kind of like a duty too to not disclose information. Like we talk about this all the time. Like like talking about the joint accounts earlier, right? Like, so if we're not on the same account and Mrs. Jones comes into the bank and later Mr. Jones, I see him at the grocery store. I can't be like, hey, I saw Mrs. Jones earlier. Like there's so much that we have to protect.
Yes. Sometimes we'll search and they don't have anything there and that's cut and dried. No, they don't have anything here. But if they do have a beneficiary and it's not that person in front of you, I will just be like, I can't disclose any information to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's crazy. So if somebody dies and they have beneficiaries, you don't just cut a check and write it to this person because they have to have a death certificate brought into you.
Mm-hmm. They do. Everything has to be very documented here, Ashley.
Now I'm like, what if you can't get a death certificate?
No, you can.
How many copies of the death certificate do you need?
So many. Because that was one thing I learned. I'm sorry, but my husband went through it. We went through it with my family too. We lost my mom. He lost his mom. But you don't realize all the copies that you need, not just of your marriage certificate, you guys. That's fun to think of.
Yeah.
Lots of copies of that. But also when someone passes, the importance of getting several copies of the death certificate too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, it doesn't really, I say certified. We at the bank make a copy of it. So again, I do try to be gentle on people. We don't need the actual quote unquote certified.
Okay.
But bring us the copy that you have and I will make a copy of it for ourselves. We do try to save people some money. You're already dropping enough on all the things. So
Well, and going back to that scenario with the business owners, right? So if you have employees that are making deposits for you and you have them as an owner on the account and maybe, or a authorized signer, you want to make sure that if any changes happen to employees, if somebody's let go and they were an authorized signer, that they're not
still coming to the bank to do business. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Anything sudden or urgent, these things, you should let us know so we can help you get everything situated.
Yeah, don't put it on the back burner.
No.
The bank is the first place you should go.
Yeah.
I feel like I've learned so much today.
Me too.
And I'm so thankful that you took the time this morning because I know you're so busy. But we're so thankful that you're here, Taylor. But is there any last thing that you really want to hit home with our listeners, you want to really emphasize to wrap this all up today?
No, I would just say, educate yourself the best that you can. Be educated. And ask those questions. There is never a stupid question. I tell all of our customers that. Never a stupid question. I want you to ask and know all of these things, what your rights are and, how you can be protected.
That's so good.
So good.
Never a stupid question. Just come sit down and have a discussion and we'll get it all sorted out.
Because your banker wants to build a relationship with you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. Again, thank you so much,
Taylor.
Thank
you guys for having me. It was awesome. So much fun.
So following up, how do our listeners get in touch with you? So they have a question for you. They know you're the expert now when it comes to all things accounts. So how do listeners get in touch with you?
You can get a hold of me, 618-252-2600. You're going to get a live person that answers the phone. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be me, the famous Taylor Shanks.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, no, you're getting a live person, and just tell them that you want to have a conversation with me. Make an appointment, come in and sit down.
And Taylor, you're located at the Harrisburg branch.
I am.
Yeah.
I am at the Harrisburg branch. Yep.
But one thing really cool about Farmer State Bank is too, they do set up appointments. So if you do want to speak to somebody somewhere else, you're willing to go down.
Oh, yes, for sure. Yep, 2 branches in Marion. So I can always come make an appointment, sit down and talk to you, get it all figured out.
Amazing. I feel like I have so much to think about. Like even checking in with my husband and making sure that everybody's an authorized signer.
Okay, Taylor, I have one more question for you. Will you be on our podcast again someday?
Oh, I would love to be on your podcast again. You guys are so much fun, and you're so knowledgeable, and I love being here with you guys.
Thank you.
I love it. Thanks again, Taylor. Again, we're going to link all of our great, our freebies away. We're actually going to, so we had a list at the beginning of this episode of like things you need to do.
Where you need to go to, it's a checklist.
Yeah, so we're going to have a checklist for you. We'll link it in our show notes. You'll be able to go back and look at that and make sure you're changing your name in all of the right places and having all the documents you need when you go to do that. And then we'll also just, again, remind you how you can get in touch with Taylor. But thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
See you guys.